welcome to KentOnline live on KMTV. I'm Louisa Britton, your top stories on Friday the 16th of November. Footbridge fury, 4 Kent MPs join residents' call to end M20 works early.
It's just been totally impossible to move.
Destroying Kent's countryside, anger at Garden City plans for Tunbridge and Morling.
It's a huge development that is totally inappropriate.
Tattoo taboo, stigma changing around body art, say Kent artists.
Years ago, if you weren't a pirate or a criminal, you didn't have tattoos, you know.
And in sport, I'll be looking ahead to the weekend's football from across Kent.
But first this evening, 4 Kent MPs say there'll be traffic chaos if roadworks aren't stopped earlier on one of the busiest motorways in the county. Tom Tugendhat, Helen Whately, Tracy Crouch and Helen Grant have all written to Highways England to express their anger at planned closures of the M20 from this evening. Harry Pete has been finding out more.
The M20 motorway will once again be completely shut overnight near Maidstone this weekend. The work this weekend, which will see the motorway closed from 10 o'clock till 6 in the morning on each day until Monday, again relates to this Teapot Lane bridge behind me, which is being raised slightly to accommodate the new smart motorway. But for residents here in the area, they're becoming increasingly frustrated, fed up and angry. The roads in surrounding Aylesford, Ditton and Larkfield are busy at the best of times, but those living in the area say in recent weeks, with speed restrictions and closures on the M20, it's become worse than it's ever been before.
It's just been totally impossible to move. It's always bad on the A20 around Larkfield. It's usually queued both ways in the mornings and afternoons, but and especially so since the smart running on the M20 has been going on.
The residents' pain hasn't gone unnoticed though by local MPs. 4 MPs have written a letter to the boss of Highways England explaining how traffic chaos has affected the area, and they've demanded that the 6 AM reopening each day is brought forward to 4:30 to reduce the issues. Helen Whately was one of the 4 to make her feelings heard.
So there's been a lot of work going on overnight on the M20, and although I think people understand that the works are needed to help the motorway to be more resilient, one of the problems is that the motorway doesn't open until 6 AM, and that then makes it really hard for people to get to work, and there's already kind of a backlog of traffic. So I'm working with other MPs, particularly Tom Tugendhat, Helen Grant, Tracy Crouch, who have constituencies along the M20, to try and get it opened earlier at 4:30 in the morning. And we think that will help the traffic situation in the morning.
Highways England have been approached for a comment, but they've been rumoured to actually be able to finish this weekend's work ahead of schedule, with a full closure on Sunday potentially not needed. But for residents in the surrounding areas, the whole project's completion can't come soon enough, so they can hopefully start seeing the benefits of this new motorway. Harry Pete for KMTV.
Next this evening, the man who was arrested in connection with the disappearance of a mother of 5 from New Ash Greens had his bail extended by police. 46-year-old Sarah Wellgreen was last seen in the Bases Shaw area almost 6 weeks ago. Several days after her disappearance, police arrested her former partner, Ben Lacombe. He was questioned for 3 days over her disappearance. The 38-year-old has now been bailed until Wednesday the 16th of January, and Kent Police say they're continuing to search for Miss Wellgreen. A lorry driver accused of causing the death of a man by dangerous driving in West Morlings appeared in court. Jason Ford was killed on April 25th when he was hit by a Volvo HGV on the A228 in West Morling. 67-year-old Lauren Collins from West Morling spoke only to confirm his name and address when he appeared at Maidstone Magistrates Court today. He was granted unconditional bail until December 14th when he'll appear before Maidstone Crown Court. Our residents in Borough Green have slammed plans to build 3,000 homes on Greenbelt lands in the area. It comes as a consultation into Tonbridge and Morling Council plans are due to end next week. Campaigners say the Garden City could ruin the environment and make the quiet parish overpopulated. Joe Caution has been to Borough Green.
Time is almost up for residents in Tonbridge and Morling to have their say on how the area could look by 2031, with different proposals on building in the borough. Now, we've already been given 500 odd pages of bedtime reading by Theresa May in her draft Brexit deal this week, but it's a last chance for residents here to read this. The 800-page Tonbridge and Morling local plan, outlining all of the proposals for building in the borough. One proposal is to turn Borough Green into a garden city with around 3,000 homes, which will include 2 new primary schools, local shops and a doctor's surgery. And the plan also outlines a new relief road to reduce the pressure on the A25. But campaigners say that'll destroy the area.
Everything we can see now, if we go up in the air and look back at where we're standing, this is all metropolitan green belt. To the top there, that's area of outstanding natural beauty. It's wrong of Tonbridge and Morling Borough Council to impose a local plan on the residents of Borough Green, Platt, Rootham and Ightham that completely obliterates the green belt and segments of the area of outstanding natural beauty.
Developers, however, say the Borough Green gardens will help the council to meet housing targets, and by using old quarries it would protect higher quality greenbelt land elsewhere. But the tiny parish is currently home to around 5,000 residents. But with the influx of new homes, Steve says it'll turn the rural land to ruin.
If the population of this new build exceeds 10,000, according to the government's own figures, that's when it becomes classed as urban. All these villages become urban fringe. We don't want to be urban fringe, we're rural, and we want to maintain that. We don't want the extra traffic, we don't want the extra air quality, pollution. It's the noise, it's the construction.
So far, Tonbridge and Morling Borough Council have received more than 1,200 comments on the proposals, with more than half of those objecting to the Garden City site. Meanwhile, you have until Monday the 19th at 4 p.m. to have your say on whether you want a Garden City in your borough or whether you'd rather keep it green. Joe Caution for KMTV.
Decided on Theresa May's Brexit plan as we wait to see if there'll be a vote of no confidence against her. Faversham and Mid-Kent MP Helen Whately has reiterated her support for the Prime Minister, but Gresham MP Adam Holloway has delivered his letter of no confidence. To talk more about the latest, I'm joined by our political editor Paul Francis. So, Paul, we've been hearing more from Kent MPs, including Helen Grant, who's now publicly talked about how she considers what the Prime Minister has brought back from Brussels. What have they had to say?
Well, Adam Holloway is deeply unhappy with the Brexit deal, and he's now signed one of these letters to the chairman of the 1922 committee asking for a vote of confidence, and he's broken ranks. He's publicly put that out, that he's done that. So he's against. Helen Grant, who's a vice chairman of the party, has said that she supports the deal, but has acknowledged that it's not perfect. And she says people need to be a bit more realistic about this because of the nature of the deal. You're never going to get all that you want.
And how does a vote of no confidence actually work?
Well, the party rules say that 15% of the number of Conservative MPs there are have to write a letter, and that equates to 48 MPs needing to register their call for a vote of no confidence. If that happens, then there is a vote, and some people are speculating it might happen very quickly, possibly at some point next week.
And of course, quickly, Paul on Politics is on today. Who are your guests this evening?
We've got Alan Baldock, Canterbury City Councillor, who's going to be talking about the outcome of the election there, and Matt Burton, a Maidstone Borough Councillor for the Conservatives.
Fantastic. That's straight after KentOnline this evening. Thank you for that, Paul. Next evening, this year's Sevenoaks pantomime set to feature the first ever gender-fluid dame. Britain's Got Talent star Danny Beard will star in Dick Whittington at the Stag Theatre later this month. He'll play a gender-fluid character called Spirit of London. But do you know what gender-fluid means? We are shoppers in Gillingham.
Gender fluid is when someone doesn't identify as just a male or a female. They can either switch back and forth or just be neither. Sometimes someone can wake up one day and feel more masculine or more feminine. And yeah, you don't have to be just one.
I think it's what you feel like your gender is, what you want to be gender-wise, whether you want to be male or female.
I think gender fluidity just relates to someone who's not necessarily one gender or the other. They just sort of, maybe somewhere in between, or maybe something that they, define themselves. Like obviously, characteristically, you might have a man or a woman. So a guy might, dress a particular way, a woman might dress a particular way, and then obviously someone who's gender fluid is like somewhere in between. That's what I imagine it is. Obviously, it's not up for me to define it.
I think gender fluid is if one day a woman decides she wants to be a woman, the next day she wants to be a man, change gender, just like that.
Gender fluid is a situation whereby a boy or a girl is allowed to choose whether he wants to be recognized as a boy or a girl.
I'm not quite sure what it is, but if you want to be a man one day and a woman one day, then it's up to your choice. However you feel comfortable, then do it.
Shoppers in Gillingham there. But what do you think of the character Danny Beard will be playing? You can let us know using the hashtag KentSays on social media. And coming up after the break, we visit a tattoo convention in Margate to find out whether people's views on body ink are changing. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
In recent years, the tattooing, it's not such a taboo kind of thing anymore. The styles and it's more of an art form now than it was, years ago when if you weren't a pirate or a criminal, you didn't have tattoos, and that was how it worked.
Welcome back to KentOnline live on KMTV. A drink driver's been sent to prison for 12 years after deliberately driving into a 700-year-old pub in New Romney and injuring 7 people. James Bates drove his Vauxhall Corsa into a crowd of people outside the Cinque Arm, leaving the car stuck in the wall. Judge Simon James told him it was a miracle that no one was seriously injured. On the day he was due to stand trial, Bates pleaded guilty to 6 charges of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm and 1 of causing GBH. He also admitted causing serious injury by dangerous driving. A man's been arrested by police for damaging more than 30 cars in Deal. The 27-year-old of no fixed address was taken into custody after reports up to 35 cars were damaged late at night on Monday and Wednesday, including a pound sign being scratched into this car. Meanwhile, he also scribed the word loyal into another man's car in Hamilton Road. Officers also arrested him on suspicion of burglary in Beach Street after reports he damaged a door and stole cigarettes. A fire broke out in the bedroom of a 5-storey hotel in Margate this morning. Firefighters and 5 fire engines were called to the Nail and Rock Hotel in Royal Crescent. It happened just before 9 o'clock this morning. It's understood the fire started in a room on the 3rd floor. A high-pressure fan was used to clear the building of smoke. There are no reported casualties and the cause of the fire is not yet known. Time now for your pick of the papers with a look at what's making the news in print, online and radio across Kent. Earlier on today, I spoke to KMTV's Tommaso Di Midio, who started off by telling me about a 21-year-old raising awareness about cancer after losing her partner.
So our first story is about Becca Thomas, who's 21 and she is a student at the Canterbury Christ Church University. And sadly, she's now a widow after the death of YouTube vlogger Pee Wee Thoms. As I said, sadly only 2 weeks after their wedding, her husband then was taken from her by cancer. He became a prolific vlogger about his fight with the disease, attracting 100,000 subscribers to his channel. She said that he had gone from being okay and us being married for a few days to the cancer reaching his heart and lungs. She also said she remembers crying when the doctor told her that there was nothing they could do anymore for him. Now Becca is hoping to raise awareness of the rare cancer which claimed her husband's life and how young widows can be supported.
So really devastating story for her. What's the second story about?
Our second story is about a football fan who racially abused Ebbsfleet United keeper Nathan Ashmore and has been banned from his own club and fined by magistrates. Officers arrested Martin Lombardi, as the fan is called. He's 59 and he's been charged with using threatening words, behaviour or language to cause harassment, alarm or distress. He appeared before magistrates in Southampton and pleaded guilty to the offence. Magistrates fined Lombardi £650 and ordered him to pay £600 compensation to the keeper. Following his conviction, the club said in a statement that they are an inclusive football club and have zero tolerance to racial abuse.
Absolutely. And what's the last story about?
So the last story is about the rock band The Darkness, who are set to headline next summer's Rumbling Man Fair in Kent. The band, who burst into the scene 18 years ago with their single I Believe in a Thing Called Love, will headline the main stage on the Friday night of the festival in Moat Park, Maidstone, which runs from Friday, July the 19th through Sunday, July the 21st. The band's lineup is Justin, his brother Don Hawkins on guitar, Frankie on bass and Rufus Tiger Taylor on drums. They join headliners Foreigner, already announced by organizer Spirit of Rock, who will headline the main stage on the Saturday. The Rock Festival is known for its UK exclusive performances and attracts acts from all around the world.
Fantastic. One that lots of people in Kent look forward to, the Rumbling Man Fair. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
It's no longer restricted to pirates and criminals. That's according to Kent's tattoo artists, who say that getting body art has become more socially acceptable. They say they've seen a rise in people from all walks of life facing the needles. Poppy Jeffrey's been to Margate to find out more.
So what I'm doing today is a little black and grey portrait of a little husky, like my client's dog.
My kind of style of tattooing is anything that looks dead and gory.
I'm all about hard lines and bright colours, and but there's so many different styles, and everyone likes something different.
Tattoos have long been considered a bit of a taboo and something which is often less than desirable in professional jobs, but artists think this is changing.
I'm here at the Kent Tattoo Convention here at Dreamland Margate, and I've been speaking to a few of the artists to find out whether the preconceptions around tattooing have changed in the past few years.
In recent years, the tattooing, it's not such a taboo kind of thing anymore. You know, the styles and it's more of an art form now than it was, you know, years ago when if you weren't a pirate or a criminal, you didn't have tattoos, you know, and that was how it worked. But thankfully, there's been some sort of global mega stars that have put tattooing right up to the forefront of it all, and yeah, it's worked quite well, I think, and we get much. Like, it's just everyone and anyone can have one.
Years ago, everyone was like, it's all criminals, and you know, people associated tattoos with the wrong kind of lifestyle, whereas nowadays, again, it's all down to being socially accepted. People from all walks of life have tattoos, and I think it's a great thing. I mean, we should be allowed to express our art in whichever way, form, from whatever walk of life we're from.
It's also not just restricted to men.
So I would say my style's now like neo-traditional, which is kind of like a new take on the classics. So like the old school, like sailor type tattoos, but with more detail and a few more colours. But yeah, I've been tattooing for 16 years, so it's changed quite a few times depending on what countries I've been to. But now I would say neo-traditional. In the time I've been in the industry, it's completely changed. I mean, I remember when I first started, there wasn't so many girls tattooing at the time, and you know, I used to get refused getting a tattoo because I was female, and yeah, it's definitely changed a lot now, whereas now it's like 50-50 that you see at conventions or anywhere where.
It's now thought that about 1 in 5 of the adult population have a tattoo, and with the number even higher in younger people, those figures could be set to rise, with a real buzz created around this form of body art. This is Poppy Jeffrey for KMTV in Margate.
With a preview ahead of tomorrow's football from across the county, here's Keelan with the sport.
Just 3 points separate Gillingham and Oxford as the two sides prepare to do battle tomorrow. The Gills sit 17th but remain inconsistent, the same of which can't be said for Oxford. Despite lying 21st, they're unbeaten in 6 league games and go into tomorrow's game high on confidence.
They've had a bad start to the season, and you know, I think they were in a false position. They've got some very good players down there, but I think again they've been a bit like us. They've had a lot of injuries, and I think they've got a few players back now from injury, and you know, it's no coincidence that they've put together a good run.
Gillingham's chances of victory tomorrow could heavily rely on striker Tom Eaves. His 11 league goals this term are more than anyone else in the division, and despite Oxford's good run of form, he believes that might just play into Gillingham's hands.
It's tough when a team's picking momentum. You know, they're obviously going to be playing with confidence, but as I say, sometimes we tend to play better when teams attack us. For whatever reason, I don't know. You know, we tend to counter-attack very well. So again, I think it'll just be I think it'll be a good game to watch, to be honest.
Dropping into the National League, and Maidstone United will hope to cause another upset when they host Wrexham tomorrow. The Stones shocked League 2 Macclesfield in the FA Cup last weekend and now welcome league leaders Wrexham. Scoring will be the big challenge for Harry Wheeler's side. Maidstone have scored the least amount of goals in the National League, while tomorrow's opponents have the second best defence. Elsewhere, Gary Hill takes charge of his first league game as Ebbsfleet manager when they travel to Boreham Wood, and Dover's battle to avoid the drop continues away at Halifax. Faversham Town have announced 2 joint managers as replacements for departing boss Ray Turner. Phil Miles and Danny Chapman have taken over at the Bostik South East Club, beginning their reign at Greenwich Borough tomorrow. Clive Walker had been in interim charge of the Lily Whites since Ray Turner's resignation last month. Faversham currently sit 14th in the table. To cricket now, and yet another Kent player has signed a new contract with the club. Fast bowler Ivan Thomas has put pen to paper on a new 2-year deal with the Spitfires. The Seamer became a mainstay of the successful county championship side, which won promotion this year. Thomas took 24 wickets in 11 matches with the Red Bull, including the vital dismissals of Luke Wright and Ian Bell against Sussex and Warwickshire. The 27-year-old faces a race to be fit for next season, though, after suffering an anterior cruciate ligament injury back in September. You're up to date on sport from across the county. We'll bring you all the fallout from the weekend's football during Team Talk on Monday evening. Have a great weekend.
It'll be a foggy end to the week across Kent, with temperatures just dipping into single figures. It'll be a sunny start to the weekend, though, with highs of 9 degrees in the north of the county. And it's a similar outlook for the afternoon, with temperatures staying around the same, although it'll remain nice and bright. It might warm up a little bit come Sunday, but as we look forward to the start of next week, it'll get a bit colder, as we can expect for this time of year. You've been watching Kent Tonight live on KMTV. There's more news made just for Kent throughout the evening. Of course, Paul on politics straight after Kent This Week in Kent. Goodbye.